Hey everyone, so I've been thinking about this random idea that I just can't get out of my head. What if the Minish cap was remade using the Wind Waker's art style? Like seriously, imagine it. That cute, bright, cartoony look from Wind Waker, but applied to the tiny world of the Minish cap. It just feels like those two styles would go together perfectly. In this video, I'm going to talk about what that kind of remake might look like, how it could change the gameplay, how it would feel emotionally, and why I think it would be one of the coolest remakes Nintendo could ever do. Alright, before we get into the what if, let's take a quick look at both games. The Minish Cap came out in 2004 on the Game Boy Advance. It's a Zelda game, but it's also kinda underrated. You get this magical talking hat named Ezlo who lets Link shrink down to the size of an insect. And the world gets super creative from that point on, like walking through grass that's taller than you or fighting bugs that suddenly feel like bosses. It's colorful, lighthearted, and full of charm. Then we've got The Wind Waker, which came out a year earlier on the GameCube. When it first launched, people were kind of unsure about its cartoony look, but now it's considered one of the best looking Zelda games ever. That cel-shaded style made everything pop. The characters were expressive, the colors were bright, and the world just felt alive. Both games are beautiful in their own way, but combining them, that could be something really special. Okay, now let's talk visuals. The Minish Cap already looks great for a 2D game. It's got amazing sprite work, everything's colorful and super detailed for a Game Boy game. But imagine if it was redone in full 3D, like Wind Waker. Not realistic, not gritty, just that clean, soft, animated look. Now picture the Minish woods with tall grass swaying in the wind, big leaves that you can run across or hide under, mushrooms with shiny tops. Everything would feel even more magical when you're shrunk down and exploring it in 3D. Even regular stuff like a kitchen table or a teacup would look amazing when you're the size of an ant. In Wind Waker style, those objects would look huge and glossy and kind of dreamy. The lighting would be soft, the colors would pop, and the world would just feel super cozy. The Minish Cap's world already feels like a fairy tale. Wind Waker's style would make it feel like a full-blown animated movie. Now let's talk about gameplay. Right now, the Minish Cap plays in 2D from a top-down view. It works great, but moving it to 3D could open up a lot of new possibilities. First off, exploring would feel more natural. Streaking down wouldn't just mean walking into tiny doors. It could mean climbing up flower petals, swimming in water droplets, or walking on strings of yarn like tight ropes. Items would also be way cooler in 3D. The Gust Jar could blow things around with full physics. The Cane of Poxy could flip objects in fun ways that you could watch happen in real time. Also, Poxy is what I've called it since I was a kid, so again, I'm sorry if my announced that wrong. And don't even get me started on fighting bosses. Imagine those battles in full 3D, with effects swirling around and the camera moving like in Wind Waker's boss fights. Also, Ezlo, your talking hat, could get more personality. Just like how the King of Red Lions had facial expressions and voice grunts in Wind Waker, Ezlo could react to things, look around, maybe even move a little on Link's head. He wouldn't just be a text box anymore, he'd feel like a real character next to Link. That's not me bashing the Game Boy animations for him, by the way. He does pop his head up when he says stuff, but for the most part, it just looks like Link has on a regular hat, you know? Okay, so visuals and gameplay are important, but what about the vibe of the game? Like the overall vibe? Both Wind Waker and Minish Cap have this playful energy. They're fun, colorful, and not super dark, but they also have serious emotional moments. In Wind Waker, it's stuff like saying goodbye to Grandma or finding out about the old world under the sea. In Minish Cap, it's that friendship between Link and Ezlo or the final goodbye at the end. If this remake used Wind Waker's cutscene style with camera angles, music swells, and character expressions, those emotional moments would hit so much harder. Like, the moment Ezlo leaves could be a full-on tearjerker. It kind of already was for me as a kid. I guess I thought of him as like a pet when I was younger. I was like, oh, he's like Link's little bird pet. He kind of is still, in my opinion. But you'd actually see Link's face. You'd hear the wind blow, maybe even a small animation of Ezlo floating away in the light. I mean, you know, I don't know. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but the music could also be upgraded. Minish Cap has a great soundtrack, but imagine it redone with Wind Waker style instruments, light flutes, soft strings, maybe even live versions of the themes. It would be magical. Now this part is what gets me most excited. The world through tiny eyes. The best part of the Minish Cap is how it makes normal things feel huge and mysterious. A simple puddle becomes a lake. A crack in the wall becomes a dungeon. A bug becomes a monster. Bugs are already monsters, though. In 3D, that stuff would blow our minds. Wind Waker's engine is great at showing scale. Remember how small Link looked sailing next to those huge sea monsters? Now imagine the reverse. You're the tiny one walking next to a cat that looks like a lion, or sneaking through a drawer like it's a cave. They could even add new areas that weren't in the original. Maybe explore under the floorboards of someone's house or inside a clock. The world could be filled with creative, tiny puzzles and secret paths. It'd be a completely different way to experience Hyrule, and I'll see you next time. Sorry for the late upload, by the way, guys. I've been kind of sick. I don't even know if I sound like I have a cold in this video, but I kind of do. So it took me a while to even stay on my computer enough to like type this out and everything, and I've still been having to go to work, so it's just been rough. But yeah, I hope this video does well. I hope my voice doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, have a good day. Also, here's a Minish cap drawing I did as a kid. The scribble is from me covering up my name.